lay it out for us. What do we know about how this happened and how we got to this point?
First, guys, I am thrilled to be on this show. You guys know how much I love watching you guys. But
you're the man, Rose.
Listen, this is a massive deal all around for the Brooklyn Nets. James Harden is something that Kevin Durant much wanted. He and Harden been talking about this months ago. And listen, the uncertainty surrounding Kyrie Irving right now, and I think there's still hope, expectation returns in place for this team. Remember, free agency comes back on you pre-coaching this league. Kevin Durant's in the second year of a 4-year deal, and getting Harden is another reason for Durant to want to stay. But now, if you get Irving back and he's back playing at a high level, you have a 1-2-3, perhaps unlike we've seen in this league in the modern era, but certainly twice, 4 first-round picks, 4 pick swaps. The picks are unprotected. One of those picks is coming from Cleveland. This is part of a 3-way deal, really a 4-way deal. Goes from the Nets to the Indiana Pacers, and Indiana sends Victor to Houston. So a lot of moving parts in this.
You mentioned some of these moving parts, and it's really interesting. I want to get back to that. But let's talk about this 4-2 deal. Give us a little more detail on the level part of it, other than just James Harden joining the.
Well, I think this was a deal really that came together in the last couple of days. And Philadelphia was very in pursuit of James Harden. Obviously, Daryl Morey, their president, traded for him in Houston, won a great deal with him. But ultimately, this Nets deal, this package, bringing Cleveland into it, got it done. And I think for Houston, you look at them, remember, they gave a lot of picks in that Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook deal. They get them back and then some, and it gives the Rockets now, their new GM, Rafael Stone, an ability to start a rebuild. Victor Oladipo's in the last year of his contract. They can see how that goes. Do they want to re-sign him? Does he want to be there? But certainly a blockbuster deal by any standard in the NBA, and it is going to be fascinating to see Harden and Kevin Durant reunited in Brooklyn. Obviously, they played in Oklahoma City together, and then Kyrie Irving, likely, potentially, you would expect at some point as part of that mix too.
Wow. As all this was coming down, Woj, on your Twitter, it was like looking around like, wow, what else is going to be added to this? But just to recap for everybody, we see James Harden go from Houston to the Brooklyn Nets, joining up with Kevin Durant, something that he wanted to do.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and
Wow. That's all I can say. I mean, nobody expected, we expected Harden was going to go somewhere, but it went down today. So I'm just going to open it up and let you guys, share your respective opinions and thoughts on this particular blockbuster trade. Let's start with you, Gabe, and then we'll go around the horn to Sugar Mama.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You kind of said it. It's just when I saw the notification come up, I just said, wow. Like I really couldn't believe it. It just I feel like it just materialized so quickly. Like we saw maybe one or two. We saw even 1 or 2 days ago. We saw even 1 or 2 days ago that Harden was talking about, how, I mean, it was last night, how he's not sold, and how he pretty much wants out. He was making it as clear as it can be in that press conference, and you have John Wall talking about how certain guys don't feel like buying in, and then today we get this news. So I mean, it's a new super team hypothetically if they can get it together and get the chemistry going, and Kyrie can come back from whatever he's doing right now and rejoin this team. But I honestly think that they're going to be really excited to play together. I mean, honestly, looking at this right now, KD, Kyrie, and Harden, it almost sounds like a better version of KD, Harden, and Russ. I mean, seriously. I mean, Harden has his issues maybe with wanting to hold on to the ball too long, but I feel like at this point in their careers, they should understand that, I'm getting the chance to play with two of the best guys in the league right now. And hopefully we see some unselfish basketball. Hopefully they get the chemistry issues sorted out, because if they do, that's scary for the rest of the Eastern Conference right there. I don't see too many people who can compete with that in the playoffs.
Go ahead, Sugar Mama.
I love Gabe. He's so optimistic. I tell you. I think, yes, is it a potential super team? Absolutely. I don't think that the guy, what's the guy's name on the clip that you shared moments ago? I don't think he's too convinced that Kyrie is going to be part of that team.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you just don't know where his head is at. They need Kyrie. I think a point guard like Kyrie is the dream point guard in any team, because he will bring the balance that playing with guys like Harden and Durant requires, because he would defer to them and expect them to do what they do. Can they coexist? It's going to be interesting. Okay, I'm still not convinced on Harden's defensive ability. And so they need Kyrie to bring that bit of defense into the mix. I don't think they still don't have an answer for AD, so I don't think that they're the super team to beat, personally. But it definitely is a super team, and if they can, if they can put together to work together and play together, they should be in the top, in the top of the East for some time. So we'll see.
Listen, on paper, they look good.
They look good.
On paper, and I preface that with on paper, they look very good. Okay.
Right.
However, and that's the big operative word. However, the thing that I'm questioning is, how will the chemistry play itself out?
Right.
Right now, I mean, you're already seeing cracks in the armor with Kyrie. Talented, but I don't know what's going on with him. And then James Harden, he's proven that when he's not happy, he won't play. And he did that in Houston. Now, yes, granted, he wants to come to the Nets, play with his boy, play for his former coach, and the whole 9 yards. So that may be a determining factor. However, he's going to have to adjust his game if this is going to work in Brooklyn, because he can't be dribbling 20 seconds out of the 24-second shot clock every single possession. That's not going to work, number one. And number two, if and when he doesn't have the ball on the offensive end, he has to be engaged. He cannot be looking totally disinterested because he doesn't have the ball. That doesn't help team chemistry. And so that's going to be a very interesting dynamic to see as we move forward in this season right now. I mean, yes.
Can he live with Durant being the man?
He has to.
He has to.
He has to. Let me tell you why
he has to.
Durant won a championship.
I'm in agreement with you guys. I agree that he has to. Will he do it is the question.
I think he will. I honestly think he will. I think he will, because not only does he have to, but also I feel like Harden's problem, if you think about his teammates who he's had, I mean, yeah, Russ, but Russ is a head case of his own, and Russ, down the stretch, like, don't even get me started on Russ in the fourth quarter. But I feel like now Harden can be in a place where he might have at least a higher level of trust with guys with KD alone. I'm sorry, like this, like I have never, I don't know. I feel like KD is in kind of a league of his own when it comes to scoring, especially when it comes to the playoffs. And I think Harden, not only does he have no choice, but I think he does feel like he has, he can trust KD more than he's been able to trust his other teammates. Like Russ, or Russ and Chris Paul. I don't really know. I don't know how excited Harden was to play with either of them. But this is something that I really think that they could do some damage, and I think that they are going to get the chemistry issue solved. I mean, again, you said it. I'm sure that I'm coming off as an optimist on this, but I don't know. I have a hard time seeing anybody slowing them down when they really get going.
I mean, yes, they have the potential to be obviously the super three in the East. No questions, hands down. But that's a big assumption because you don't know which Kyrie you're going to get. Happy Kyrie or disgruntled Kyrie.
Or if you're going to get a Kyrie at all.
There you go. And then in terms of Harden, again, you don't know which Harden you're going to get. Is he engaged or not? Now, he's got certain things in his favor. He got, D'Antoni, his former coach, who gave him the rock. But this is a different dynamic. He doesn't have to be the man here. He has to kind of defer to KD because KD is really the superstar. And on top of that, KD is the only one out of the three. Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. KD and Kyrie are both the only two that have that championship ring, which Harden doesn't. So he has to take a little back seat in that respect.
And KD is the only one that's proven that he can play with other superstars. As long as you have plays for him,
yes,
he can play with other superstars. You know what I mean? He has a bit of an ego too, because they all do, but he can succeed with other superstars and coexist. Kyrie, struggles with not being the man. He's in the past, so we'll see. Harden hasn't proven to be able to work well with superstars, and that's, we'll see. I hope they do because it's a phenomenal team. It will be by far the best in the East, but I don't think that they'll win the division. They'll win the East, and that would be it. And they're not going to go beyond that.
I agree. I agree, but my thing is, and I understand. Like, obviously, you had the whole fallout with Kyrie in Cleveland with LeBron. But I feel like Kyrie and KD, they made this decision to come to the Nets and play together. And that to me says something about wanting to actually collaborate with another star, and acknowledging that, we're on the same level, we're on the same caliber, and we're going to make it work. And obviously, we're only 15 games into the season, something like that, and I don't think, obviously Kyrie has been out. Neither of them have been playing the whole, all along this season. So, they still have plenty of time before the playoffs start, that they need to kind of get things to gel. And I also say, I think that I think that having these stars together, gosh, I really can't remember where I was just going with that. Oh, this is what I was going to say, is that I don't think on any given night, maybe Harden doesn't show up one night, right? Maybe Kyrie doesn't show up one night, but I don't think on any given night you're going to be able to stop all three of those guys. Maybe one night you don't have KD, maybe one night Harden's not there, but you're still going to have one of them. You're still going to have one of them, and any of those guys on their own are enough to make or break a game if they want to,
Well, that's assuming, Hakeem Cardozo, we call him the Dream because we have another podcast going, and he says he predict it would take 5 games before Kyrie and Harden have a cat scratch fight at midcourt. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, we could see it happen, we could see it happen late in the game, fourth quarter. Maybe they're up or down only by 2 points, and both of them want the ball.
Give me the ball. No, give me the ball. Give me the ball. I got the ball. Give me the ball. KD is going to show up every game.
Yeah.
KD's going to show up. Doesn't matter what. he is the glue that's going to make this happen. Because he is going to.
That's what I think.
You don't know what.
And I think what you said earlier too about Katie's experience with Golden State, you know, being part of that, being part of a team that has so many different things going for them, and a team where all the guys are bought in and where they're all just, you know, they're all it's next man up, but it's also, you know, I have the trust in the guy next to me, you know. I think Katie has a really valuable experience in playing with Golden State and winning those rings.
I think he brings that to this union, that if he can kind of, you know, show them that, hey, we can coexist. We all have strengths. The plays are going to be made out to each other's strengths, like it was in Golden State, right? We can really, you know, make a go at this. I agree. I think that he can make it happen because he has that experience.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that experience is definitely going to, you know, play itself out on the court. He can carry the team. He's been there before. He's definitely knows how to manage it, manage a team, and be a leader on this team. It's just a matter of folks falling in line because he's going to be the alpha. He has to be. He has to be the alpha. He's going to be the most consistent guy, and you know what you're going to get when he steps on the court, provided that he doesn't get hurt. But not bottom line, he's their guy. And then Kyrie could be number 2, and then Harden number 3. And then if they, you know, blend well, the chemistry, you know, plays itself out, they have a good chance. They definitely have a good chance. Now, question that still hangs in the balance is, you know, what does the rest of that roster look like? Because they traded LeVert. LeVert is a solid guy. They traded their center, Allen. He's a solid guy. Now, you know, he's more of a glue guy, but still, you need guys like that. He's a young stud. Both of them.
I mean, he's a rim defender. He's great.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see how that roster plays itself out, considering that they lost some key guys. And then, of course, Dinwiddie also is hurt for the entire season. That impacts their depth. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays itself out. What do you guys think about that in terms of the bench and the depth?
The role players make it happen. The role players make it happen. Those role players that accept their role and play their roles is critical to the success of that team. And they got rid of some key guys. So I don't know if they're going to make any more moves, if there's time to make any more moves, but they got to secure that center position big time, because Harden's not going to take that pounding, and Durant is not going to take that pounding. You know.
Well, they have old man Winter, which is DeAndre Jordan. Okay, old man Winter, Father Time. You know, he's the NBA version of Father Time. So I mean, he can hold the middle, but for how long? That's the question.
Well, how long? Yeah. And I don't care. You can make this a shooting spree. Everybody's shooting, everybody's scoring, but everybody knows comes to playoffs, you better play some defense. And I'm not convinced that they've taken care of that yet. So I'm expecting at least one more move.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it, you know, but I think it's an interesting point about the role players that they gave up in this deal, because those were, you know, like last season, the year before that, they pretty much gave up all the guys who were making them like the young special team. You know, everyone had this hope for the Nets, you know, and it was because of like Dinwiddie. Well, Dinwiddie's still on the team, but it's because of like LeVert, you know, and Allen. They were all so great together, and it shows. You know, it just goes to show how quickly, I guess, a team can change in a league where players have, you know, more of a say in their own contracts, and they have more of a say in where they're going to go play. You know, this is not something you would ever see in the NFL or in the MLB. You know, never. Only in the NBA can players just completely dictate, you know, where they want to go and change the landscape of the league overnight. So I think that the Cavs, honestly, I don't think they got a deal out of this, because you know, Taurean Prince, young guy, you know, probably hasn't proven himself that much, but Jared Allen was, you know, he was killing it. He was killing it for the Nets. And yeah, I think the Cavs honestly did not get a bad end of this, and I'm pretty excited to see what they can do. You know, when they have guys coming back, Porter Jr. I think, and obviously Colin Sexton's still there. So yeah, I mean it's you know, they completely kind of reset the Eastern Conference a little bit, you know, in some regards, just because I feel like teams now have to take a look and they have to look at their roster now and say, okay, where can we improve right now? Because what we have right now is not going to be able to compete with those three if they're going to show up and play to the best of their abilities.
You know, it's funny. Simon Barr, he says Steve Nash will be on a psychiatrist's couch by Valentine's Day. You know, that it's very possible because you're dealing with some major egos, major personalities, and, you know, to blend that in and to manage the team and get the most out of them is going to be a challenge in and of itself. So that definitely is something to watch out for. If anything, he'll probably lose his hair in the process too.
As a first year coach, that's kind of a tall order to be managing.
Yeah, James, I think James Howe is ready to hit. I think James Howe is ready to like lay down the psychiatric bed himself. He said replace KD with J.R. Smith. What are you, nuts?
Listen, he's stirring the pot.
That's a psycho team right there. That's a psycho. They're all psychos.
Sugar Mama, he's stirring the pot. Okay, that's what he's doing. So it's hard to take him serious. It's hard to take him serious. I mean, he's a funny dude, though. He got jokes. Maybe he got a career in stand-up, but you know, he's just stirring the pot over here. That's what he's doing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh jeez.
But Akeem makes a good point in terms of the roster of the Nets. You know, they do have enough shooters in Harris and Shemay. So that's a good thing. You know, Harris is definitely going to get a lot of
Harris
minutes.
is solid.
Yeah,
Harris is solid.
He's going to get a lot of minutes. But go ahead.
Yeah, but you know, again, playoffs is not about a bunch of shooters if you can't stop the other team.
Right.
You got to be able to play some defense. And that's where I don't see, you know, what they kept enough to be, you know, a strong defensive team. Steve Nash played many years, didn't win one championship. It was just shooting, you know, just shooting and shooting and shooting. And that's great. But playoffs, you better be able to play some D and stop the other team.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I mean,
I don't see that.
He played for D'Antoni, and now D'Antoni is his assistant coach. And D'Antoni is an offensive coach. Defense is not in his vocabulary. As a matter of fact, myself and my man Simon Barr used to talk about this back in the day when D'Antoni was the coach of the New York Knicks. We used to call him Antoni because there's no D in this game. You know what I'm saying? I gotta give the shout out to Simon Barr. I know he's cracking up because we were talking about that back in the day.
Terrible.
But you know, let me ask you guys a question. Okay, here, let me see. Let me share another point here with our chat room. Great point. The Allen loss will come back to bite them later. Yeah, for sure, because he brings defense to that team. You don't need a lot of you don't need a lot of offensive players when you have now 3 bona fide superstars that can score. Now you need some defense, and he brings that to the team.
Right.
But you'll pick it up. You'll pick it up from there.
Yeah, I mean that's, you know, I love defense.
Hey George.
You know, and I think that
I'm on a
absolutely,
podcast. You want to jump
you know, you got Durant from the outside. There's no stopping him. You know, his release is positive. There's no stopping him. Harden is going to shoot.
That's what we're talking about.
He's going to get fouled because of how he releases his ball, his body. So we got that. Kyrie can cut and get it and drive to the basket. That's great. So I think we're covered in terms of an offensive threat, a serious offensive threat. The defense to me is suspect.
Definitely.
Because we got to stop folks. And we don't have somebody in the inside pounding. So we don't have that inside game, and we don't have, you know, the defense. So
And
I don't know.
And when you look at the Nets, when you look at their losses this year, it's
Mhm.
teams like the Wizards miraculously were able to pull one out on them,
Mhm.
just because they missed 2 shots. Down the stretch 9 times out of 10, KD is not missing that shot. So I honestly don't know how we win that game, but the Hawks as well. So it's I agree that they're gonna have a challenge as far as teams that can put up a lot of points. And it's you got to be able to set the statement early that we are an offensive first team, but we're also going to protect our side of the court, which you have to do if you want to win a championship.
So what do you think the matchup between the Nets and Miami?
Well, Miami is more experienced. More experienced.
Yeah.
They play
And
together.
they have the chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The chemistry.
They play together. So I would have to give them the edge. They may not be, with any, superstars per se. They got borderline stars in Butler, and then what's the guy that plays center?
Adebayo.
So those are budding stars. They're not superstars,
Yeah.
but on a team that plays great team basketball, they've proven in the past, teams like that have proven in the past to win. For example, when the Lakers played the Detroit Pistons back in the day, the Lakers were the superstar team. All right? They had Kobe, Shaquille, I think they had Karl Malone, Gary Payton, you name it. There's more in there. I don't remember everybody. The Detroit Pistons, they had Chauncey Billups, Rasheed Wallace. They had Ben Wallace. They had what's his name that he moves without the ball? Hamilton, Rip Hamilton. These weren't superstars.
Yeah.
These were budding stars, but they played with good team basketball, and they had a great coach in Larry Brown too. And so
the Mets were solid, and their defense was solid, and that's what got them there.
Yeah.
That's it.
So right now, everybody's excited about the Nets, but there's a couple of questions. The defense is suspect, and the depth is suspect, and then the chemistry is suspect. So it's just a question to see how this thing plays itself out as the season goes along. They're great on paper. They look good on paper, but we still have to remain, see how that plays out.
Case in point,
I think the Heat
last year.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Heat are a great team, and I really loved watching them over the playoffs. I love Tyler Hero. I think he's a bucket getter. They got a few guys on their team like that. But I don't see the Heat putting up enough points to compete with the Nets. I don't. As great defense as they play, the Heat this year have not been that inspiring on offense, and they lose Jay Crowder, who's a big element of their offense. I don't see them putting up enough points to take the Nets in a 7-game series.
Okay, all right. We'll see. So let's talk about the other players, where they ended up, and the other teams that potentially may have improved or may have not improved. What do you think this trade does for Houston?
They got a couple of first-round picks, no?
They
got a couple of nice body players. They're rebuilding their team. They got rid of a guy that didn't want to be there, and they got a lot for it. I think it was a good move for them. They unloaded while he was top of his game, so they got a lot for it. I think it was a good move.
Yeah, and it's also, they're getting him out at a time when he doesn't want to play there anymore. He's not, even if he's as talented as he is last year and the year before that, he doesn't want to be there. So he's not going to be fully bought in. It's not worth it to just drag him around, when he doesn't want to play there. And I agree. I think it was a smart move by them because they got a really, really good young player in Oladipo. As they mentioned, as Woj mentioned or whatever in the little breakdown, they gave up a lot of picks, in the deals with Westbrook and Chris Paul, but they're getting a lot back now. They're getting a lot of picks back now, and again, Oladipo, really, really talented guy, and I mean, they still have John Wall, Boogie Cousins. They still got guys like Aaron Gordon, PJ Tucker. So they're in a really
They got some
interesting
nice
spot.
pieces.
Yeah, they have nice pieces, and I think they're in a good position if they do want to enter a rebuild, because they have enough guys that they can kind of anchor a team with, and then they also have a whole plethora of picks that they can do what they want with.
I think this is,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay. I think this is a good. It's good for Houston Rockets because now sometimes to improve a team, sometimes you do addition by subtraction or subtraction by addition.
Mhm.
Flip it any which way you want. Bottom line is Harden didn't want to be there. He was a disgruntled player, and he was impacting the chemistry on that team. Now they get rid of him, and they get some players that are coming in trying to prove themselves. Oladipo is going to prove himself because he's on a walk year. You know what I'm saying? Wall and Cousins, they're going to be able to step up and raise their game because now they're going to be the faces of the franchise. Okay, so no longer is it Harden's team. Now it's up to Wall and Cousins to step up and take that responsibility. And I think that's going to help the chemistry, and they're ultimately going to be a much better team because Harden didn't want to be here. Harden would have contributed to that team and helped that team, but he didn't want to be here. He didn't want to be there. So not being there now, eliminating him from the equation allows that team to take that next step. And they got a nice forward in this guy Wood too. That guy's putting up some good numbers. So they got some good players, core players, and then they also got picks to go with that. So I think they're going to be a real good team.
I think that I agree, and I think it was a smart move to get rid of him like this, because I think he would have ended up being like another AD where he didn't want to play. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just cause all kinds of havoc, for the team's chemistry and the management of the team to kind of unload him, and just all this drama as opposed to growing as a team. So say, you know what? Let's cut our losses. Let's get rid of him early. So that was a good move. Good move. Good for Houston.
Any thoughts, Gabe?
I mean, really, I agree with what Hakeem said here in the comments about they got a replacement great replacement two guard that actually plays defense. And 4 first-round picks to reload with. I think they're in a great spot right now, and and then that's also a front office that's they're competent. They're competent, and they probably have a good idea of the direction they want to take the team in over the next few years, and they have the ability to do so now. So yeah, I think they come out, maybe in their eyes they're probably pretty happy to get rid of Harden too. So
absolutely, I would.
Yeah, so I think this is great for them.
Yeah, the Pacers, they got a young and budding star in LeVert. So they replaced Oladipo with LeVert. So what that tells me is that obviously they didn't want to run the risk of signing Oladipo to a big contract. And here they got LeVert, who's probably not, his contract is not even expiring at this point, but it's not going to cost as much to re-sign him when his time is up. But they got a solid player and a guy that obviously hasn't been hurt like Oladipo was. So Oladipo, he's had those injuries that have slowed him up a little bit. LeVert, that kid is another KD in the making. I mean, notwithstanding Brandon Ingram from New Orleans, that's a cat that is the second coming of KD. But LeVert, he got a nice game, and the Pacers picking him up. That's a good move. That's a good move for them. That's a real good move, and they got a second rounder out of it as well. So it's good. It works out for them. Cleveland, they improve. I mean, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but at least they got Jared Allen and they picked up Taurean Prince. So, that's part of the youth movement in terms of Cleveland. So now, in terms of, right now on the surface, looking at the 4 teams, how would you rank these trades in terms of who got the most out of it, who got the best out of it? So rank the teams that got the most out of it.
Well, I think. I'm sorry.
You can start.
You go first. No, you go first.
Okay. I would say honestly, for looking at it as what does my team get, I think the Rockets probably come out on top because you offload someone who doesn't want to be there anymore, and you bring in a great player and four first round picks. The Nets come in second because you're just adding more star power, and I mean, yeah, what else can you say? The Nets come out on second because they gave up a lot, but they bring in someone who makes them on paper the best team in the East. And I'd say, honestly, I maybe even want to call it a tie between the Cavs and the Pacers, but I would probably I'll give the edge to the Pacers just because I like Karis LeVert, and I think he's someone that'll buy in on their team, and he also just has a ton of upside potential right now. So yeah, that's where I would put it. I put Rockets first, then Nets, then Pacers, and then the Cavs. But I don't think it's a bad deal for anyone.
Sugar Mama?
I agree wholeheartedly with Gabe. I think the Houston Rockets got a fantastic deal. I mean, that's just fantastic. I think the Nets, the only reason they're not won is because of the personalities. If it weren't for the personalities and they could be all professional and they could be consistent, no doubt that would be the team. You know what I mean? Like, this is the best deal for the Nets. But because of all the issues that these guys have with personality conflicts, they should win the East easily on paper, but you don't know what you're getting yet. So that's the issue.
Yeah.
And then, Cavs and Pacers, I agree with Gabe, and stuff. I think Houston and Nets got the better of the deal. Houston, I'm looking forward to what they're going to do with all those first round picks. I think from a business standpoint, I love that Houston unloaded him. Okay, because it's business. So for these players, it's business. As a business person, unload him. He doesn't want to be there. He's a cancer. He's got to go. I don't care how good he is. Because they haven't won one championship with him. Not one. So he's got to go.
So I agree with the ranking that you guys have put out there. What I'll say individually in terms of every team, Houston, I think, is the team that came out the best out of all of this because they got rid of a guy that didn't want to be there. They were able to replace him with somebody that is willing to be there and doesn't cost them as much and is in a walk year who needs to prove himself for their next contract. And then, of course, they got the draft picks. So that's a great thing. And then now the other guys can step up in terms of, Wall and Cousins. So that works for Houston. In terms of the Nets, of course, what's in question is the depth and the chemistry. And right now, I'm going to put them in the same category as the LA Clippers. They're the LA Clippers of the Eastern Conference until they prove themselves to win the championship. That's the Clippers right now. Okay, I'm not trying to curse them. I'm just calling it the way I see it. Okay, I'm just keeping it 100. And then in terms of the Pacers, I think the Pacers they didn't lose anything. I mean, because they still got a nice team. Oladipo wasn't the primary option like he was in the past. So now LeVert, fills that void. He doesn't have to be the number one, but he's going to be a great fit for that team because this kid is young.
And he could be the number one too if he wants to.
Yeah, he could, but they're going to go through Sabonis. Sabonis is their guy.
Definitely.
Sabonis is their guy. And then they got the other guy, I forget his name, the power forward that plays alongside him. No, not
Brogdon. Miles Turner.
Yeah, Miles Turner. And Brogdon is a solid guard. He's a solid guard. And don't they have Bogdanovic as well?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
So they got a good team. They got a good team.
They do.
Cleveland, they're rebuilding. They're rebuilding. I wouldn't give them the same level as the Pacers because I think the Pacers are a little bit. I mean, obviously they're a playoff team. Cleveland. I mean, yeah, they started off hot this season, but it's early. They'll fade out as the season progresses. But listen, we got another 15 minutes because I got to jump into my NBA games that are going to start at 7:30. So, I mean, any other thoughts that you guys wanted to share about this trade or anything else for that matter? I know your Washington Wizards, what are your thoughts on them? What's happening now in that team?
Yeah, so I mean, right now it's it's tough. We're in a tough spot. It's kind of this. Everyone's kind of just holding their breath, hoping, I guess, for the meantime that we don't do anything stupid and trade Bradley Beal, or at least I would rather. And unfortunately, this probably isn't going to happen. But I think I said it last time. I'd much rather see them trade Russ before they trade Beal. But I don't know because I don't know who actually wants Russ in the league. We're in a tough spot. I don't know how much optimism you can have for the season right now, especially after losing Thomas Bryant. But we'll see. Like for now, I guess. Just do the best we can, that's really all we can ask for. But not expecting that much out of the Wizards this year, unfortunately.
So I mean, that's a perfect example, Gabe. You have a great player like Beal, you have a great player like Westbrook, and that chemistry really isn't working for the team, and that's the importance of chemistry. So you could have really good players, but if they can't figure out how to play together, work together, and get the whole team to function as one, it doesn't work. It happened to the Clippers last year. It's happening to Washington, and so we'll see it. And that's why the Nets were number 2 on that list for all of us. Because those egos are suspect.
And I see Hakeem now saying New York fans are heading to DC, coming to carry Beal out. I mean, this is the problem now. Is that this is why I'm holding my breath. It's like everywhere, every time I look up, like someone is telling me, either Knicks fans or Sixers fans, or I'm hearing now the Pelicans, are interested. So. I don't know. It's tough. I would hate to see him go, but you just have you get this uneasy feeling looking at the season right now that they're going to try and do something dramatic and try and turn things around, or maybe enter a rebuild phase. And I hope it doesn't come down to it, but unfortunately, it feels like Beal could possibly be on his way out from the team.
I mean, listen, I feel for you. Gabe, if Beal gets traded, because I think he's a tremendous baller. He reminds me so much of Ray Allen. Ray Allen was a tremendous, and potential Hall of Famer at this point. But that's who Bradley Beal reminds me of. And I see him having a tremendous career. Now, it's a question of whether the Wizards are gonna build around him or build as a result of trading him. And that'll be tough. That'll be tough if they did trade him for the city of Washington. You know what I mean? For the district of Washington. Now, of course, I'm a Knicks fan and I would welcome him. I'll package a few, Knicks players and a draft pick here and there, and also relieve you guys of that salary cap space. Because I know he's getting paid like close to 40, right?
I think it's closer to 30.
Okay, so 30 million, in that vicinity. And when you're not winning, I know that he's expressed a little bit of unhappiness recently. I don't know if it's to the extent of him wanting to force a trade, but he's unhappy. And so, I welcome him. I could package a couple of Knicks for you if you like. Relieve you of some salary cap space, give you a couple of picks. maybe a first round and a second round, and
Something to make me feel a little
work.
better.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I just think that's something that we could do to make it interesting for you. But in all honesty, like you said, on a serious note, nowadays what we have in this league is a league that has players dictating where they're going to go if they're not happy in their respective team. And for many years prior to recent times, that power landed in the hands of the owner. So a player couldn't go anywhere. And now that script has been flipped. So it's interesting. I don't know if it's bad or good. I'm just saying it's interesting. It does make for us to, call an emergency podcast to talk about it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's something that's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic that we have to deal with the league. But it's all good. I'm gonna bring in my man Bill Stradamus is in the house. Bill Stradamus, what's up?
Salute, family, salute. Gabe,
How's it going?
salute, Sugar Mama.
That's my sister, man. That's my sister, Bill.
I know.
And Bill is my colleague from work.
Yeah. Listen, I got on basically, I needed to share this with you. I'm still trying to get Dude on. My pops just texted me. He says, not to me, but we have a family, we have a Knicks chat.
Right.
And he said, wow, the Nets got Durant, Kyrie, now the beard, and we can't even get Pee Wee Kirkland. He had that chat lit. I told you he would be hilarious on here, man. I'm gonna get him.
Pops is great, man. We need him. We need him to come in and jump in on one of our, broadcasts, so that way we can have some fun with it. We got to get him, and we got to get this cat James. Now James, he want to put that comedy as well. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. It's all good. Hey, Bill, I don't know if you were following while I responded to something about back in the day when let me do it this way. When D'Antoni was the coach for the New York Knicks, what was his nickname, Bill?
Anthony.
Why?
No D. He was Anthony.
Terrible.
Oh my
Terrible.
gosh.
Mike D'Antoni.
So Gabe, here's a question for you, and for Knicks fans like myself. Okay.
Yes.
Now, Bill went ahead. Was it yesterday? They played the Suns, right?
Yeah.
Westbrook didn't play. Bradley didn't play.
Oh yeah,
and,
that's right.
And Bill was able to pull that win.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're a better team without Westbrook.
Yeah.
I knew it since we traded for him. I mean, I couldn't believe it. This is exactly what I envisioned happening. Is he, flying all over the court, 10, 15 rebounds a game, just because he wants to get the ball that much, and then he'll take the ball down, break a three, and he's doing it in the fourth quarter of games when we're down like 2-3 points. And you're just watching it. You want to pull your hair out. I can't believe it. We're a better team without him.
Perimeter. Oh, we're supposed to stand up for Bill. Hold up. Yeah, it's tough. I'm not a big Westbrook fan. You remember when that whole thing went down, and I'm like, I'm not feeling Westbrook, and this is why.
So, Bill, what are your thoughts, Bill?
I never wanted Westbrook, which is the argument I have with certain people on the other chat, such as my dad, my brother. They're feeling that Westbrook would help, and I'm like, no. I think
no team in the league wants Westbrook.
I didn't want Westbrook because he gets a triple double and they still lose it.
Yeah, he gets a triple double for us to lose by 15.
He gets those rebounds because he wants to get those rebounds.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Look, Durant played with Westbrook and Harden, couldn't win. Right? Mm-hmm. He went to the Golden State. He won.
Right.
He could play with stars, the right people that
Exactly.
don't let their egos get in the way and can go in there, be consistent, and perform.
Mhm.
That's it.
Exactly. You're
And he was the
100.
man. You know, these guys, their egos are horrible. Both Harden and Westbrook. They have not been able to win a championship. It's not because of lack of skill.
Yeah.
Nope.
So Mr. Bill, I mean, what's your take on the 4-team trade? Just give us your full scope of that deal.
Houston to have had to trade Harden so quickly, they got a lot out of the deal, in my opinion. They got a lot because they got good players and a pocket full of picks. They have a lot of picks, so they came out to me, just as good as Brooklyn did, because Brooklyn, wanted him for a reason. I guess they feel they can go get some guys to replicate their depth that they basically gave away. They gave some good players away. I mean, not gave away, but they traded, some good players away from them. So, I guess that was an equal deal. Now the other teams, like Indiana, they end up getting LeVert. LeVert is really good though. So I wish we had him instead of the R.
Don't say anything, man, because listen, Gabe, and I don't know if you know Gabe. Gabe is our cousin, and he's he lives in DC, and he's a big Washington Wizard fan. So, I'm letting him know. Listen, I know the situation. Bill, that's the deal. You know what I'm saying?
We talked about that today before. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I told Gabe, I gotta, you can ride shotgun with me on the Knicks train or bandwagon, whatever you want to call it. I think you're kind of you're a closet Knicks fan anyway.
hey, I mean, look, if we do trade Beal to the Knicks, and we don't, and it doesn't look like we're doing anything, you can catch me in that blue and orange Beal jersey. I'll tell you that much.
We'll take you in New York, Gabe. We'll take you in New York.
And then you have the Cavs who ended up with Allen and Prince. I guess, what did they give up though?
I really don't even.
I don't know. So maybe that they just felt that they can add those two pieces, but so they bought the Fro there to back up Drummond.
Yeah. But remember, Drummond is also a free agent. He's playing on his walk year. So the question is Cleveland going to re-sign him for the money that he's going to command? I don't know. The backup or the plan B, the Fro, that's not bad. That's not a bad deal for them.
No, that's not. No. And Taurean Prince is a good player.
Right. He just hasn't got enough run. He hasn't got enough run with Brooklyn.
He's not excellent at everything, but he does everything he does everything good. So
well, gentlemen, I've got to bounce, but it was fun hanging out with you all. Bill, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure meeting you as well.
And I give you a standing ovation to stand up for you. Sorry?
No, I said hope you come back on,
Absolutely. Kisses to Gabe. See you later, Miguel. Have a good night, guys.
All right. But yeah, man, I mean, right now, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing these other teams play, everybody that made a trade in this deal, just to see how it plays itself out. It makes it for more interesting basketball, just to see the dynamics, see how these folks blend and how they take their game to another level, or do they have setbacks? We'll see. It remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. That's for sure. So you got any last minute, commentary? Because we got 3 minutes, and the Knicks are coming on. So I know I'm jumping off, and I know Mr. Bill is gonna jump off, or Bill Stradamus will jump off too. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, Gabe. You got any last minute thoughts?
I mean, I guess nothing that hasn't been said already. I think we're just gonna have to wait and see how the Nets pan out. Whenever Kyrie decides he's gonna grace us with his presence and come back to the court. But yeah, it'll be. It's gonna be a show for sure. I think anyone who's saying that they don't have a shot, I don't know if you could listen to them, because they are going to be instant contenders when they all come back and when they all start playing at the level that they can.
Okay, Mr. Bill.
Same thing. I mean, if they come back and agree to work together and do what it takes to win, I'm expecting them to come out of the East. However, we still have to contend with those individual personalities, and we don't know yet if they can mix, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, as I said before, and I don't know if you heard this, Bill, earlier, and that is, the Nets are currently the Clippers of the Eastern Conference until they prove otherwise. Because the Clippers had all the talent on paper. They were supposed to be the team to beat in the Western Conference, and they laid a big egg against Denver. You know what I mean? They blew it. They were up 3-1, and they blew it. And that was attributed to their lack of chemistry. So, I'm not trying to hate on Nets. I'm just saying that could happen to them if they don't get their chemistry right and if they don't get their depth right. With that being said, fellas, we're going to call it a night because game time is about to start. All right, fellas?
Yes.
All right, fellas. Man.
Once a Nick.
Always a Nick.
Always a Nick. Come on, Gabe. You can do it.
Not yet.
He's not ready. Once we get Bill, then we can close the deal. Then we can close the deal. Once we get Bill, then we can close the deal with Gabe.
Definitely.
Oh, man.
All right, fellas.
All right, well, good talking to y'all.
All right, fellas.
Have a good night.